Hey there, hello there, it's Jeff Cutter. I'm welcoming you to another Degrassi Poll video. This will be the seventh in this series. That's not why I'm wearing the number 7. It's just, I like this t-shirt. The jersey, if you will, with a chevron. So I talked about, if I can remember correctly, without having to dive into the internet. I talked about Emma, like what phase of Emma was the best, from the pretentious Emma from season 1, like the making a mountain out of a molehill Emma from seasons 2 to 4, zombie Emma, those type of people. I also talked about who Emma deserved to be with the most and why I did that. I don't know. I just wanted to rank her relationships, I guess. And obviously, Emma and Sean won by the highest percentage. I also talked about what else did I talk about? Degrassi Poll video. Oh, well, I kind of did Degrassi seasons as an extension of a poll thing, and I did Degrassi seasons. I mean Degrassi storylines, but that didn't count as a poll video. I don't know off the top of my head. I have to take a look online because and I might as well get my sheet of paper ready for Kay's thing. Ignore what's on the back of my thing because it was a Cards Against Humanity tournament in which I took third place. So yeah, it was cool and all that, playing Cards Against Humanity, having people play it with you online. Let's see. That's not the right. It's not the right one. It's Degrassiisms. I know. Hate me for not being prepared, but basically give you a chat. So of course the Reddit community helped me out in this one. So thank you very much to the Reddit community. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. The Rick villains thing, because when Rick was the biggest villain in Time Stand Still, yes, but what was the second biggest villainy? And that would be Jay. You voted for Jay with Raj coming in behind, and I was shocked. But I guess it was how I phrased it. But the unpopular opinion of the Rick Murray storyline, I think it was Emma wanting to be Shine was the best one. Was the thing. The Four Horse was Woman of Degrassi. I did something about that, talking about the like Claire, Holly, Jay, Emma, and Maya, who was the best, and you picked Holly J, mostly because I think you didn't like the other 3, so you had to pick the 4th one. And Degrassi Poll Video 6 was the most triggered characters, and I believe Claire won. I think Claire won. Emma was close, but I think Claire won. Can't remember. So anyway, so this one was about the storylines to do with the Rick Murray situation, like ranking them, not doing chronological, but the best storylines to do with the Rick Murray situation within the Rick Murray storyline. So I did. So I got 13. Well, one was an automatic number 1 because I knew it would be number 1, and then I picked 12 storylines of characters with their storylines, and you know, ranked them and had Reddit rank them. So anyway, I did 2 polls. The first poll was with the 6 of them and doing it randomly so that each poll, the top 3 from those 2 polls would go on to play for the top poll. And would be ranked 2 to 7 based on that poll, and then I would just rank 8 to 13 on my own turf. So anyway, there were 3 honorable mentions, and of course I'm going to call them. One honorable mention was the kissing bet between Rick and Toby. I'm surprised not many people voted for that. But basically, Rick and Toby were fast friends in that episode. The episode before Time Stand Still. I think it's Islands in the Stream. I can't remember. I might be right. But anyway, Rick and Toby find out they're good together. They like role playing games. They like kissing certain girls, especially Emma. All that. So they decided to have a kissing bet. Whoever kisses the most girls wins role playing dice from the other person. And Toby easily beats Rick. But Toby decides to get Rick some credence and decides to have Rick Darcy kiss Darcy for $5. Well, Darcy got paid $5 by Toby. Unfortunately, Toby gets his comeuppance thanks to Spinner and Jay, and basically That's not good, in a sense. Now, of course, this was big because Rick actually said he now had the confidence to go after Emma for a relationship. And that went, boy, howdy, that. Wow. The second honorable mention is Ellie being left behind by Sean. Now, Sean is in the top 10. I'm not telling you where he is. But anyway, Sean ends up, leaving Ellie to go to Wasaga. Ellie is all by herself in the apartment and all that. She's got a Ferret Bueller who died after chewing cords. Ellie is persuaded by her mom to come back after Ellie moves away because of Ellie's mom's behavior. After Ellie's dad went to the army. But of course, Alex actually stepped in and told Ellie that you should trust your mom. And Ellie's mom knew that she had to get Ellie's confidence. So she did. It worked. And I know this might be a little controversial, but the third honorable mention was Jimmy in the wheelchair. Like, Jimmy trying to be back to the way he was. And, Marco and Craig snuck him out to a concert. Jimmy's dad's not too happy, and Jimmy basically blasts his dad saying that, I think in a way that you're not ready for me to be in a wheelchair and all that. So, yeah. Jimmy trying to find himself was a good storyline. But, yeah, I just couldn't put it in. Not that. Anyway, so here we go. From 10 to 1. And, of course, I will use my fingers so that you can honestly know what number I'm talking about. Okay, so anyway, first off, number 10 is Sean in Back in Black. So Sean didn't really have much to do with the Rick Murray situation. However, he was put into the situation when Emma and Toby bumped into Rick, and Rick was blasting Emma for leaving him high and dry, and basically saying that Emma played with his heart and all that, although it was untrue. Sean decides to calm down Rick by basically stating that, you're just going to make things worse. And then Rick says, it can't be worse. I already shot somebody. He doesn't say who he shot. But anyway, Rick goes after Emma. Sean decides to lunge at Rick, and then the gun goes off when Sean and Rick are fighting for the gun. And then we see Sean being interviewed, and he has a sling on. It's like, oh, good. I'm thinking either Sean got shot, although I would have been like, if he really got shot, he would have been in the hospital. But anyway, what we soon learned is that Rick died because of the gunshot, and Sean had residue on him that burns. So anyway, Sean Rausch's being a hero in Back in Black. However, Sauve and Simpson tried to get him to open up about things. It seemed to me, I don't know why, but it seemed to me that they were basically guilting Sean for the fact that Rick died. I don't know. But anyway, Sean goes to Wasaga to deal with his parents because his parents made a statement over on TV, and Sean is upset that his parents were not really happy about him because they sent him to Toronto. But anyway, Sean ends up meeting Tyler, the boy he deafened in Wasaga Beach before he went to Toronto. He gets on a jet ski. Ellie tries to get him to open up, but Sean doesn't want to open up. And then Sean, for some reason, if you look at everything, it's like, did he purposely jump or was it just pure bad luck? So anyway, Tyler saves Sean's life. Sean apologizes to Emma for what happened the previous season. And then he goes back to his parents. And his parents explain that they had to get him out of Wasaga because he would have been in jail for what he did to Tyler. And then Sean basically said that he had guilt because when he saw the blood from Rick, all that, and the gunshot, he's like, I was trying to protect my friends, and I ended up killing the kid. And, Sean was upset over the fact that he shot Rick and all that. I originally thought that he was trying to duck the police because he shot Rick. But the police would have gotten him, like, on Saturday or Sunday before he went to Wasaga Beach. But anyway, he stays in Degrassi. He doesn't stay too long. Season 6, he comes back for some reason. Anyway, on to number 9 on the list. And that is the Orange Ribbon campaign that started it all. Sorry, I put the fingers in the wrong spot. So anyway, the Orange Ribbon campaign was conceived by Paige and Emma as a way to get Rick out of the school in Mercy Street. After basically seeing that No one's willing to help Rick out. Marco and Alex couldn't get Raj to get Rick out of the school, and Raj by ripping Emma, saying that stay out of this. This is not one of your stupid crusades. Paige is like in the bathroom crying and says that nobody cares that Rick is back at the school. No teachers care. And then Emma says, we'll make them care. Emma then conceives a plot with Paige forge ribbons to pay for money for people with domestic violence, as a way as a clause, and basically trying to guilt Rick out of the school. But that doesn't really work. Rick just gets bullied to submission, in a sense. The Orange Ribbon campaign also was a way for Emma to connect with friends, because, she lost Manny and Liberty as friends in the previous episode. It was her own fault. Like, I'm not defending Emma, but basically put, Emma wanted to be in Paige's clique. She wanted to be with people and all that. So anyway, Emma sees a check from Rick, who wants to donate to the cause. Alex rips it up. Emma rips her, saying that you don't know anything about domestic violence. But Alex says, oh, yes, I do. I have to deal with my mom's abusive ex-boyfriends. And the fact that, we were staying in women's shelters and all that. That could have made Alex a sympathetic figure, but Alex didn't do herself many favors by being bullied. Like, yeah, she pictured Rick as every ex-boyfriend of her mother's she wants to beat up on. But anyway, Paige is notified that Emma might have feelings for Rick, either like friendship feelings or sympathetic feelings. Emma tries to prove herself to Paige's clique by tripping Rick up. Rick goes up to talk to Emma. The boys think that he's going to go after Emma. And so basically beat him up and everything. However, Emma decides that enough was enough and saves Rick from being pummeled. Unfortunately, she loses her cause and her popularity. So basically, Emma's only friends, as it seems, are Toby, Heather Sinclair, and Rick on the Wacky Brain team. And worst of all, it gets Rick to have relationships with Emma. Or he thinks he does. Emma even tries to cover her bases by saying that, I protected you because it was the right thing to do. This had nothing to do with anything. But Rick didn't listen. Number 8 on the list is Spinner trying to relieve his guilt. So in Eye of the Tiger, Jimmy comes back to the school and basically everything was built for him. Spinner sees Jimmy back and is not unsure what to think, because remember, Spinner is holding the guilt of the fact that he may have got Jimmy shot and never visited Jimmy in the hospital. However, Jimmy tells Spinner that I should have been there for you and not being in the hospital for 3 months. I'm like, it's been 3 months? Wow. So anyway, Spinner basically decides to be Jimmy's, I would say slave, but I don't know. But anyway, you get the idea. So Spinner basically tries to make Jimmy feel better about himself. That's a good move. I like it. Jimmy gets the basketball MVP award. And then he talks to Spinner saying that, pieces of him are gone. I just wish Rick had better aim. Rick would have had better aim if he wanted to shoot Jimmy, but he didn't. So anyway, Spinner decides to talk to Jimmy and says that in the bathroom, me and Jay basically made Rick believe that you were behind the paint and feathers, and then I got shot. So basically, Spinner's made into a pariah. No one wants to talk to him. And, he's trying to fix the problem. But nobody wants to listen. So anyway, Rick aside. So anyway, Spinner goes to Jimmy's party, crashes it drunk with Jay after Jay belittles him for things. And Spinner wants Jimmy to bite his head off. And Jimmy does, saying that, we're not best friends. A best friend wouldn't leave a true friend wouldn't leave his best friend behind to be shot by Rick. And basically, why did you have to tell me these things? You could have kept it quiet. But if it got out, Spinner could have been at the mercy of the cops, not the school. But anyway, Jimmy said, you weren't trying to make me feel better. You were trying to make yourself feel better and alleviate your guilt. Go jump off a bridge. I don't care about you anymore. And then Spinner uses that to confess to Hatzelackles everything. I feel that Hatzelackles knew and was waiting for Spinner to confess. And then after a short time would force him to confess. So basically, Spinner spills his beans about the fact that he and Jay were responsible for the paint and feathers. and all that. And Hatzelackles blames Rick for Spinner for the fact that a boy's in a wheelchair and a boy is dead because of your selfish actions. Like, blaming Rick's death on Spinner, that's illogical. I did an unpopular opinion about that. And basically, she expels Spinner and Jay because of zero tolerance, which is like, where's the zero tolerance in previous seasons? But my guess is that the school board made Degrassi pay with the zero tolerance thing. Who knows? Maybe their funding got cut because the school board had to pay Rick's parents, even though that they should not have. So anyway, as it seems, Spinner wants to burn down the school for refusing to give him help other than summer school. But Jay saves him from himself. Spinner then goes on his redemption arc in season 5, which is one of the best in Degrassi history. Fight me on that. All right, so let's go with number 7 on the list. And making it into the main poll, the final poll of 6, was Jay with the lack of empathy. It got 4 votes. That means it was last on the list. I can understand that. But anyway, Jay, his lack of empathy was pathetic. I mean, honestly, he had no qualms about things. Spinner wanted to tell the cops that they may have gotten Jimmy shot. Jay was right saying that either outcome, Jimmy will not be your best friend. Either, well, he's dead, and then obviously he can't be your friend. And he's alive, but he doesn't want to be your friend. Spinner says, we may have killed Jimmy. We didn't do anything. So Jay basically forces Alex and Spinner to shut up about their involvement because he knows that he'll get involved somehow. And Jay was not too happy when he found out that Spinner had confessed things in the bathroom. Says, I knew you couldn't keep your mouth shut. Jimmy deserved to know. Well, now you're a pariah. How does it feel? So basically, they get drunk, crash Jimmy's party, like I said, and then basically, even in season 5, Jay seemed to have no empathy. When the 1-year anniversary of Rick's death and all that happens, Spinner feels guilty. He goes on a friendship club thing with Darcy because he's trying to redeem himself. But Jay says, we did the world a favor. And Spinner lashes at Jay, saying, why did I have to be with you? If it wasn't for you, I would not have been influenced to get on Rick's nerves. Like, Spinner had a reason to get mad at Rick. Jay didn't. Jay was just there for the ride. I guess maybe because of Alex. Who knows? But anyway, Jay lost Spinner as a friend, and that's actually the catalyst for Jay to get better about himself, knowing that he needed Spinner back. Weird, eh? Oh, sorry. At number 6 on the list was Radish's downfall, which got 13 votes in the final poll. So anyway, everyone knew that Raj was on a free fall from seasons 1 to 4. It just basically he didn't care much about things. I mean, he does have a point when he tells Marco and Alex in the deleted scene, which was stupidly not put in the main product, that his hands were tied because the incident happened off school grounds and no one pressed charges against him. So basically, he had to let Rick in. Although he could have just either A, let Rick in with conditions, which he probably did and we didn't even realize. And B, is that he could have just said, Rick, I'm sorry, I can't let you in Degrassi. But basically, he put Rick in Degrassi for some reason. Alex thinks it's about GPA. And if you watch the season 4 premiere, Radish and Armstrong have a talk in the background about budgets and all that. And that could have been something fishy. So anyway, Radish wasn't really involved much, except in Back in Black when he tells Emma that no more of your stupid crusades and all that. Which probably means that he's angry about Emma trying to undermine his authority in season 2, fight for your right. So anyway, he does get involved in Time Stands Still when Rick comes to him, talk to him about kicking Jimmy off the Wacky Brain team because he's a tormentor. However, Raj doesn't take Rick's stuff seriously. Well, he takes it at face value that Rick is basically saying that Jimmy is tormenting me and he has no qualms about that and he won't be my friend. Raj takes it like it was and basically blasts Rick, saying that come back to me when something serious happens. All that. But then when he saw the Wacky Brain thing on his computer, like a boss, and this is 2004, He basically tries to shame the school, saying, "In my 25 years of being an educator, I've never seen anything worse than that, and how ashamed I am of our school." And then in the deleted scene, he gets Spinner in trouble because Spinner went bark, bark, bark at Rick. And then basically, he may have his answers. However, he decides to talk to Rick and apologizes for everything and says he can take the rest of the day off. And then lets Rick go to his locker. Snake thinks that Raj is not doing it right. He doesn't have a strategy. And Raj says that this is not preschool and making friends is not part of the curriculum. I know you said daycare, but preschool also is kind of like daycare. So anyhow, you know, that happened. And then the shooting happened. And then Radish goes into the media room to get answers, try to get Snake to help him get answers. But Snake doesn't really want to help Radish. I don't blame him. So anyway, they have a tiff. Like Snake has a tiff, obviously, because his stepdaughter almost died, and Raj wasn't taking Rick seriously enough. And Raj said, "I know what he said a couple times. This tragedy, damn it, could have been prevented if it wasn't for you, Dan." I think Snake was trying to say. And then the argument gets broken up by Spike. Anyway, Spike aside. Yeah, Raj feels bad about himself. Snake does take accountability for things. And then, Raj says in Back in Black that today's a day of reflection. There are no classes. Go talk to counselors. It's important that we get back to things as soon as possible. And then, it voices Carrie in the subplot, because the main plot was about Craig's bipolar problems. He says he needs to cancel Dracula instead of postpone it. And Liberty and JT try to talk him out of this move, but he says, "Let's do a musical. Make sure Degrassi is good and all that." I mean, I get him. Like, Degrassi's personality is dipped because of the shooting, and what Rick did to Jimmy and all that. Like, I can understand that, but it just basically portrays Raj as he's more caring about the ego of himself and the school and the school's reputation than the students and all that. And I mean, Raj was involved in the Chloe Tanner situation in Degrassi High because Degrassi High was going to do a cavalcade. And he was involved. And Spike said, "Why don't we just do it as a benefit? Put on the play, but do it as a benefit for suicidal teens." If Raj had realized that in his memory bank, he probably would have said, Dracula should be like a benefit and all that. I just wish the students had done that, because I think Raj may have agreed. But Raj should have just postponed it, saying that right now we can't put it on. Good play, but we can't put it on right now. We have to postpone it. Like, that would have been the easiest thing for Raj to do. But no, he didn't. Liberty and JT write a song about him. He overreacts like he almost always does. Puts him in money detention, and then he's out the door. A lot of people say that basically him betraying Rick was the obvious reason, and that everything after Rick died was just, it added to the fire, and Raj was canned. I don't know what role Raj did, but I think Raj probably didn't take the motion seriously, and basically just rather than quit. I mean, he's 25 years as an educator. I mean, he has a lot to hang on to, and I think he has a pension or severance. So yeah, Raj was never seen or talked about after season 4. Like, a small mention of him would have been nice, but in the 14 subsequent seasons, but no. Anyway, that's all right. Anyway, number 5 is Zombie Emma. That got 18 votes in the thing. It actually missed out on number 4 by 1 vote. But anyway, Zombie Emma was when, Emma had the gun right in front of her by Rick. And Emma seemed fine. The weird thing is that in the next few episodes after Time Standstill, she's okay in a sense. She's not like a zombie. She does burst into the media room crying because everyone's staring at her for the fact that they know that she could have died by Rick's gun, and it wasn't for Sean saving her. So basically, she gravitates towards Sean and even accompanies Sean to Wasaga Beach. Kind of as a sense, I think she wanted to be with Sean. Sean stayed in Wasaga, leaving Ellie and Emma high and dry. I think Emma really knew that Sean was with Ellie. I mean, why else would Ellie be there? But, Emma was upset. I think her zombie face also was the fact that she lost Sean. I mean, I get it with Emma is that basically she just wanted to be with Sean because he saved her from a bullet. And who would? I mean, Emma kind of pissed off the school by protecting Rick in the end. Before, and that's when the Orange Ribbon campaign happened. And I think Paige basically decides to spread the gossip around the school about Emma being a hypocrite. And that's when Emma gets no sympathy except for being in the Wacky Brain team with Jimmy, Toby, and Rick. Two boys that really have a crush on her, Toby and Rick. I think Toby had a crush on Emma. I wish that had to happen. But anyway. So anyway, Toby aside, Emma just seemed not like herself. Perino basically tells her that she needs to participate in class and all that, and the grace period for the shooting is over. And Emma doesn't respond to him. Emma probably would have blasted Perino high and dry. She should have. But anyway, yeah. And then after play practice, Emma keeps screwing up and being in and out of the play. Snake and Spike have a talk saying that Emma is just withdrawn. She doesn't have any friends around. She's not doing well in school, fair enough. She just doesn't go out. She doesn't have anyone over. She doesn't go on dates. She's just withdrawn and all that. And Snake says, well, how would you react when you have a gun in front of you that you almost died? Emma tries to fix things, but she couldn't. She ends up with Jay at the ravine and all that. It gets to the point that Emma's being the aggressor in the relationship with Jay. She tells Manny she's only with Jay because, having oral sex with Jay means she won't get pregnant. She basically blasts Manny and all that. Manny says this is not the Emma we all know and love. Maybe in a sense, Emma was upset because, she's thinking, the Emma you all know didn't like me. I don't know. Character change. But anyway, after a gonorrhea outbreak, Emma figures she has it, and then, people don't want to kiss her for Dracula. And she's upset, and she tells Jay, you gave me a social disease. And then Jay says, but I wanted to be with you because of your virtue. Well, I don't feel virtuous at all. And that basically snaps Emma out of her funk and into the real world. So Jay kind of did his job, although it was gonorrhea. Emma then realizes her fault and tells Spike and Snake she needs to go to the clinic. And she also says, after Rick died, I just wasn't the same. I haven't been the same. And Snake said that basically, Emma, you don't have to worry about things. And Emma says, yes, I do. And, it's kind of the guilt. I think she basically said she had guilt over Rick dying and that she was responsible for Rick's downfall. Maybe so, but Rick was the one who wanted to go after Emma and would kill Emma for spurning him. It was Rick's fault. It wasn't Emma's fault. And then they basically changed Emma's character. By season 5, she's with Peter. And obviously, that ticked me off because seasons 1 to 3.5 of Emma would never have been with Peter after realizing what Peter did to Manny. She just ended up being boy crazy, and she wanted to gravitate towards having friends because, in a sense, because she didn't have friends on around the time that Rick had a crush on her, she probably thought that if she had friends, she would have probably got help dealing with Rick, or she might not have been a target. And she thought because she lost Manny and Liberty as friends, she probably got it coming to her, and maybe she thought that it was karma. That's why she was kind of sticking to Manny and Liberty as friends in season 8, but by season 9, they both were gone, and Emma was nothing. I don't know. So anyway, number 4 is Toby's PTSD, or lack thereof, if you will. That got 19 votes in the final poll. But basically, Toby was with Rick and all that. Toby got hit by Spitter and Jay after Rick retaliated with the spray paint. And that's when Rick tells Jimmy that, he's been through this. And now that they know Toby is affiliated with Rick, Toby's going to get the infection. Going to get hit hard. So anyway, Toby has a problem. Toby was with Emma and Sean when Rick pointed the gun at Emma. Why didn't Toby try to stop or talk to Rick about it? The situation. I guess Rick was in a point of no return. Maybe Rick probably would not have shot at Toby. But anyway, Toby's PTSD was kind of talked about in Back in Black, but it was played for anguish, if you will, because Toby is upset that JT doesn't want to be around him because of Toby being around Rick and all that. And and Toby knew he had to go to the visitation and funeral and had to deal with Rick's mom and doesn't know how to do it. So anyway, Toby talks to Manny about JT not wanting to be involved. Manny decides to chew JT out, and at the end, JT realizes that, yeah, Manny was right the whole time and basically tells Toby that it doesn't matter what I feel about Rick. This should never have happened in the first place. And Toby nods. Toby knew. At least JT was smart enough to realize he fucked up. So anyhow, JT aside, yeah, it was weird that they didn't really mix on how Toby felt about his best friend dying and, his conflict. Is he really my friend, or he's a psycho for shooting Jimmy and nearly killing Emma? So basically, yeah, they just did Toby dirty, and they did Toby dirty again when he basically, for the JT stabbing, I think in a sense, Toby probably was kicking himself for telling JT to go after Liberty, and he was stabbed. But I don't think Toby knew that they were going to stab him. Anyway, number 3 is Craig seeing Jimmy's body. And that got 28 votes, and that missed being number 2 by an inch. So anyway, it's weird how Craig got involved in this storyline. I guess people probably see Craig's kind of role in the Rick Murray situation as probably leading to his bipolar. So Craig wasn't really much in this whole Rick Murray thing. The story goes that the reason why he was linked was that in the subplot to Time Stands Still, remember, there was a subplot after all. Craig had to stay home from school sick. And then he bumps into Sydney, Joey's ex, who was a realtor. And, Joey's trying to sell his house. And Craig and Sydney talk about things. And Joey's not too pleased that Craig talked to Sydney, saying that I better not see Tessa Campanelli around. But anyway, Craig decides to go to school, even though he was sicker than the previous day, telling Joey that I'd rather be sick at school than to deal with you because, Joey was staying home the whole day. Joey wasn't too pleased. However, Joey talks to Sydney and they both realize, and Joey realizes that Craig was just doing it out of concern. And all that. And then Caitlin comes back from Africa and finds out that Joey's house is for sale and decides to buy it so that she can get closer to Joey. So Joey and Caitlin talk about things, and Joey, I think, kind of talks about how Craig was right the whole time. And then they go to the school to deal with Craig because Caitlin got a report about there was a shooting at Degrassi. So anyway, yeah. And Craig just had to be the first person to see Jimmy's prone body after Rick shot him. And a lot of people think that this led to his bipolar problems. But I think because of the hereditary things, I think him being bipolar actually ended up being more than just seeing Jimmy's prone body. And was shaken because of it. Craig does have a little bit of a role in Back in Black, but not too big, I think. So you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, Craig being bipolar and all that was huge. Because that actually happened within the Rick Murray situation too. But, that wasn't the main reason why he was bipolar. It was other things. And Snake realized that too. Number 2 is Spitter and Jay BSing Rick twice. Sorry, I forgot to put the 2 sign. And that got 29 votes in the main poll. So anyway, there was a lot of problems. Spinner and Jay were basically the only two, well, other than Alex, to bully Rick and all that throughout the storyline. Like, people dropped off, like flies and all that. So basically, it was down to the 3 main integrists. Well, 4, if you count Jimmy, to start with Time Stand Still. Then, Jimmy switches sides. Spinner and Jay are upset, especially with Rick flashing the X sign at them. Oh boy, big mistake. So they decided to plan on something for Wack Your Brain. They would dump paint and feathers on Rick. Now Rick gets the team to the tiebreaker, and guess what? Rick decides to do it. Well, Rick and Jimmy talk in the bathroom about Rick's smarts, and then Spinner and Jimmy come in just as Spinner and Jay, come in just as Jimmy leaves. And then they talk to Rick, and they basically said, you're saving the school with your smarts. We're cool. Everything's fine. and Rick's happy about it. Rick leaves the bathroom, and then Spinner and Jay set up the paint and feathers. And of course, they knew that they had to get Rick's hopes up so that Rick doesn't realize they were behind this. Spinner has reservations that Alex might not do her part, but Jay tells him to be quiet and says that, that's what you get for dating the student council president, or vice president, sorry. No one asks questions. So they get Alex to do the paint and feathers, and they get on Rick. And, of course, Rick is embarrassed in front of the whole school, and they laugh at him and all that. A job well done by Spinner and Jay. And then Spinner, for some reason, decides to blurt out to Jimmy, or brag to Jimmy about the paint and feathers. And then he realizes he screwed up, especially with the fact that Raj wants to talk to him. And then Spinner basically says, that's why Spinner says, dude, Raj knows, because of the deleted scene. Although, in the main product, even if you don't know about the deleted scene, it does make sense because he thinks that Jimmy's going to narc on him. So Jay says about Jimmy, yeah, I don't know how, I hope he knows about it. And Spinner's like, what? And then Jay points Spinner to the feet sticking out of the bathroom stall and the paint and feathers in the sink in the bathroom. So obviously they decided to talk things up about Jimmy. He was the inside man setting up and all that. It was perfect. And then that's when Rick goes after Jimmy. Spinner realizes he may have got Jimmy shot and wants to confess. Jay says, no way, you can't do that. So it's weird how Rick, got hoodwinked twice by Spinner and Jay. It just doesn't make sense. All that. At least Spinner had the guilt and wanted to confess things, and Jay had no empathy. But you can agree that number one is Rick's retaliation and Rick's downfall. So I didn't put this in a poll because I knew it was going to be number one, because obviously, Rick's retaliation had to be the number one thing within the Rick Murray situation. So the subplot of the Rick Murray timeline. Rick comes back in Black, and the students are not happy. He's back with no restrictions, as well as he does say he's going to counseling, but that's up for debate. So anyway, yeah, Rick manages to get under everyone's skin. They do the Orange Ribbon campaign. He gets bullied and all that. He decides to try to buy off Emma, thinking that, Emma, if he buys Emma off, maybe Emma will lay off him. But, the check gets ripped up. He gets beat up outside the dot. Emma steps in and saves him. Rick falls for Emma because no one would save him, in a sense. Although Emma did say that I only did it because it was the right thing to do. And I think in a sense that Emma was trying to protect her own bacon. If she got in trouble, she would be in deep trouble with Raj. But she could also have turned it on Paige and her clique. They abandoned her, so she had nothing to lose. So anyway, Rick goes through a few episodes being tormented in the subplot, and then he decides in Time Stand Still to do something about being bullied after Jimmy and Spinner dump him in the dumpster. So the next day he gets spray cans and decides to circle and X every tormentor's car. Now Rick had a reason to do this because he wanted to retaliate. And he also wanted to have the bully say, hey, you're being bullying me. How would you like it if the shoe's on the other foot? Unfortunately, it actually blows up in his face as Alex reveals it was Rick. I think Alex was trying to make trouble for Rick, and that was the first name that came out of her mouth. Spinner and Jay had to think of something quick because they knew they couldn't go to Raditch because Raditch was going to ask why Rick could spray paint their cars. They could have come up with why, but basically they knew they couldn't get Raditch involved. So anyway, they try to think of a thing. And then worst of all, they're upset that, Rick has gotten Jimmy over to their side. So in a sense, Spinner and Jay's plot to destroy Rick might have also tried to destroy Jimmy because, Jimmy switched sides. And that was an unpopular opinion. Regardless, Rick is happy. He's not happy that Jimmy's on the Wacky Brain team because of Heather's mono. He goes to Raditch. Raditch pulls him off, and then thankfully, with Emma's help, he manages to get Jimmy to switch sides, and he's happy about it. And of course, his home life sucks in a sense because he hasn't told his parents about the torment he's having. His mom believes that Rick and Toby are going to rule the school after their trivia win. And then Rick's mom says, I want to do the transfer. You worry too much, Mom. So yeah, that kind of is like blissfully ignorant in my book. So Rick decides to talk to Emma about it, feeling happy that Emma was helping him out. But he doesn't help matters by holding her hand and then whispering, "This is for you." Hope you heard that. So anyhow, yeah, so he gets the painted feather on him, and even though he wins the competition, he sees Emma and kisses her for trying to calm him down, but Emma blows him off. And in his mind, Emma's abandoned him. So he finds his dad's gun, which was easily accessible. How the hell can you keep a gun like that and not, and, have it out the way that Rick knew where it was? Like, fuck. So anyway, he takes the gun. We don't know what he's going to do with it. So he decides to take it to school with him. He might be doing the same thing like Claude in Degrassi High and kill himself at the school to make people feel bad. Regardless, Toby tries to calm him down. Rick says, "This is the one time I want to be at school." So Rick goes after Paige. Paige realizes that everything was childish with the paint and feathers, but Rick doesn't show the gun to Paige. So Rick decides to clean himself off, put the gun in his locker, and then ready to go home. But then Spinner and Jay trick him. All that. Why was he hiding in the stall? Like, Spinner and Jay, like, he should have been out there talking. Spinner Jay probably would have talked to Rick directly and all that. But anyway, he hears the bullshit of Spinner and Jay and decides to shoot Jimmy. Now, of course, it's important to know that he had his head turned when he shot Jimmy, because I did a unpopular opinion about why Jimmy didn't duck, didn't just move out of the way of Rick's bullet. But obviously, he was fearing him, and he didn't know Rick had his head turned. He didn't turn. Jimmy didn't turn. So anyway, Rick goes after Emma for spurning him. Sean tries to calm him down. Rick says, "I shot somebody. It's too late." And then they arrest him with a gun. Rick dies. Basically, Rick's parents are blissfully ignorant, like his mom and all that. And I think Rick's parents basically had to pay a price. I mean, they got a settlement, but also the fact that, you had a gun that was easily accessible by your kid, that's some kind of criminal charge, if anything. So yeah, they leave Toronto. It just pisses me off that, we didn't know the impact about Rick's mom and all that. I know they say this show's about the kids, but like, honestly, it could have helped matters. Anyway, so thanks for being in this poll video. And yeah, I know it's a long one, but I had to properly explain the storylines within. And I think it did pretty good. So anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Thanks for watching. And yeah, the stupid sunlight and all that. Sometimes taping in the morning is not the best option for me. Anyway, see ya.